Uvanga Jaden Danner, Akaga Corinne Danner, Apaga Scott Danner, Hawaii Miurunga.
Uvanga Eve Negavana, Akaga Sharon Levitt, Apaga Jacob Negavana, Utkagaving me Runga. So who's keeping the language alive?
I'd say the elders, because they speak it much more than anybody else, and the teachers and the younger ones, like the kids, are trying to.
Where do you hear the language and who speaks it?
I hear it a lot in Iñupiaq class because that's Iñupiaq class. I hear it at my akas all the time. My mom speaks it sometimes, and I hear it on the radio a lot because my mom listens to the radio a lot. And yeah.
Do you plan to teach your children to speak Iñupiaq? And if so, why?
Yeah, because Iñupiaq is like one of the coolest languages, and because I want to like try to keep it going.
When you hear Iñupiaq, how does it make you feel inside?
I guess it makes me feel happy to hear it from other people besides like the elders, because I know they speak it a lot, and so like it's normal for them. But if I like hear someone else speak it, it like, whoa, like they're talking Iñupiaq. So it makes me feel happy and like an Iñupiaq. Who is keeping the language alive?
Definitely our ILT teachers, the elders, like my mom, for example, she can't speak Iñupiaq, but she can understand it fully.
Wow.
It's weird.
Where do you hear the language and who speaks it?
I hear the language in ILT class, or when I'm like in a game, or like when I'm working, or when I'm at a basketball game, you'll hear elders talking to each other in Iñupiaq.
Freaking get the ball in Iñupiaq.
Also, you hear it when my dad's like yelling at me sometimes. He doesn't really yell at me, but he's like telling me to hurry up. Pretty much.
Do you plan to teach your children to speak Iñupiaq, and why?
I do plan to teach my children Iñupiaq because it's an important part of our culture, and I don't want that to go away.
Hit me in the heart. When you hear Iñupiaq, how does it make you feel?
When I hear Iñupiaq, in a sense, it makes me feel complete and happy.
This is such a heartfelt interview. So heartfelt.
Ubunga kaya kamawa akaga berna panik apaga Benjamin Tavru.
Ubunga ayogita Varden Apaga Lloyd Gordon. Who is preserving the language?
Our elders.
Where do you hear the language and who speaks it?
I hear the language at home in Wainwright, and my family speaks it.
Are you willing to learn and teach the Iñupiaq language?
Yes.
If so, what do you need to do to learn to speak Iñupiaq better, and how do you plan to teach it?
To speak Iñupiaq better, I need to learn to speak it with my family, and when I get good at it, I'll teach the next generation. Where do you hear the language and who speaks?
I hear the language at home, and my uncle and my mom speaks it.
Uvanga Aganarito, Akaga, Martha, Apaga, Roy, Esalak. Utkalaving Miurunga.
Ubungan Hatak, Akaga, Agi, Apaga, Charlie, Kahanak, Utkakami,
with Kathleen Danner. The first question is, who is keeping the language alive?
I think that our elders and our Iñupiaq teachers in our community are keeping our Iñupiaq language alive because they're the ones that can speak it fluently and are actually trying to teach others around them to speak it.
And where do you hear the language and who speaks it?
I hear our Iñupiaq language mostly at our family dinners because that's where most of the adults I see. My parents and my aunties and uncles and my grandparents speak it fluently.
Are you willing to learn and teach the Iñupiaq language? If so, what do you need to do to learn to speak Iñupiaq better, and how do you plan to teach it?
I want to learn by reading the dictionary, the Iñupiaq dictionary, over and over again, because if I read it, I'll actually understand what it means. But if I just hear it, I don't know what it means. I want to ask my elders for grammar lessons because they're like, they know what they're saying. I don't know. It'll be easier if I just ask people for help instead of trying to do it on my own.
And do you plan to teach your children to speak Iñupiaq?
Yeah, because I feel like our language is very important to our culture, and without our language, our culture wouldn't have like that much background or something. I don't know.
Uvanga Iha Huntsman, Akaha, Emma Huntsman, Apaga, Scott Huntsman. Krakaga Miu Uvanga.
And Uvanga Troy, Akaga Josie Kalep, Apaga Freddie Kalep, Udkelgaving Miu Ruvanga.
Uvanga Mary Jo Arek, Akaga Me Arek, Apaga Kiwak Arek, Udkelgaving Miu Ruvanga. Who is keeping the language alive? Troy, who cannot?
Our elders and are keeping it alive, and the children and youth are learning it also.
Who is keeping the language alive?
The Iñupiaq teachers, the young adults, the youth, the children.
So where do you hear the language and who speaks it?
At the church, I always hear it, and elders speak it, and you would hear it on the radio, KBRW.
I also hear the language being spoken at church as well, and sometimes I hear that my aunt Ida's and all my other aunts speak it.
Are you willing to learn and teach the Iñupiaq language?
Yes, I would love to learn my language and teach it also.
Yes, I would love to learn and teach my language as well.
Okay.
Uvanga Patuk, Akaga Eloise Toilau, Apaga Sammy Kenton, Anchorage Miu Rana.
Uvanga Kawana Akaga Maggie Kalak, Apaga William Leo Kalak III, No Miu Runga.
Who's keeping the language alive?
Our elders and my family.
Where do you hear the language and how? Who it speaks?
At my house with my Aka and my uncle.
Are you willing to learn and teach the Iñupiaq language?
If I can speak it fluently.
If so, what do you need to do to learn to speak Iñupiaq better, and how do you plan to teach it?
A lot of practice.
Do you plan to teach your children to speak Iñupiaq, and why?
Yeah, when I speak it fluently.
When you hear Iñupiaq, how does it make you feel inside?
Like when they sing the songs, I know the lyrics, but I just don't know what they mean.
Rudy, Apala, Eli Alcala, Marjorie, Kakabing mi ang
Ovanga Sakalu Apaga Charlie Akaga Martha Kathleen Danner.
Who is keeping your language alive?
Everyone that's trying to learn it and teaching it, and yeah.
Where do you hear the language and who speaks it?
At my house, I'm at Aka's house a little bit. In the car when we give my Anna and them a ride to their house. Public places.
Are you willing to learn and teach the Iñupiaq language?
Yes, I am.
If so, what do you need to do to learn and speak Iñupiaq better, and how do you plan to teach it?
First of all, I would have to learn a language. I would have to sit down with someone who knows it for like the longest hours and like every day and learn it and get it stuck in my head. And
do you plan to teach your children to speak Iñupiaq?
yes, so it doesn't die down. I think that would be the first language I would teach my kids when I have kids, because well, we're only in high school, and that's a little too early to have kids. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Kuya Nakpag. This is from Barrow, Alaska. Okay, bye. Thank you, Kuya Nak.
Ovanga, Ala, Apaga, or Akaga, Alinda, Apaga, Eric, Danner, Hawaii, Mu, Grunga.
Uvanga tak apaka agi kakanat apaka cherry kakanat carving miurunga. Who is keeping the language alive?
I feel like our elders are keeping the language alive because it's important to them that we know what it was like back then, so we don't lose our culture.
Where do you hear the language and who speaks it?
My Aka and my Appas, they always speak Iñupiaq to each other whenever we're around, so we catch on eventually.
Are you willing to learn and teach the Iñupiaq language? If so, what do you need to do to learn to speak Iñupiaq better, and how do you plan to teach it?
Yeah, I plan on learning it because I want to know what my Aka and them are talking about. But first, I need to get better at it. I'm not so good, but I plan on teaching my kids and having them teach their kids.
And do you plan to teach your children to speak Iñupiaq and why?
Yes, so they could be more connected to their roots.
When you hear Iñupiaq, how does it make you feel inside?
Makes me feel happy because I'm learning something new instead of everyday things.
Uvanga, Dillon Brower, Akaga Jinini Eri, Apaga, Andrew Brower.
Una, Dalton Kippy Hopper, Regina Kippy Hopper, Dave Bruce.
Where do you hear the language and who speaks?
To the teachers, we speak Iñupiaq from school, right?
Where do you hear it?
The teachers, and I hear from Mock.
What do you need to do to learn to speak Iñupiaq better?
We speak it to parents and our sister and brothers and uncles and nephews.